Today, persistent questions about the commitment and quality of children's public education, especially those with special needs. 4 days after President Trump signed an executive order to shut down the Education Department. Education Secretary Linda McMahon talked to our Dana Bash this morning in an exclusive interview and pledged this.
Can you guarantee to those parents and those students that there won't be any disruption with their education, the guarantees for their education?
I certainly hope. I would like to see even more funding go to the states for that. And if it rests with HHS, which is one of the suggestions, that funding clearly is going to continue to come from Congress. And we want to make sure that those students do have those special services and those needs which they have, which is really monitored and taken care of at the state level.
With me now is Brittany Coleman, an attorney at the Education Department's Office for Civil Rights in Dallas, who was just laid off. Brittany, glad you could be with us. So sorry that you were laid off, but I'm wondering if you can tell us specifically, what did your job entail?
So my job entailed evaluating complaints that we received from students or their parents or concerned citizens concerning possible violations of civil rights, where it could be students who have special needs or have an individualized education plan where they were supposed to receive special services like additional testing on time for taking a test, just making sure that those points were followed so that students could receive everything they need to succeed in the classroom. Also, just making sure that students weren't being discriminated against or in hostile environments, and that could be because of their disabilities or because of their sex or their race or their national origin. So really the whole point was just to make sure that students could focus on educating themselves and learning in the classroom in an environment where they were free from harassment and receiving all the tools, funding, and education that they need.
And now with your removal, what are your concerns about what services, might not be available, or what might happen to some of the civil rights related cases that you were working on?
So I'm very concerned about just the fact that there are going to be just continuous chaos and delays because of what we're seeing. Some of your viewers may not be aware of the fact that we did have 12 regional offices all over the country, including the regional office in Dallas. We've gone from 12 regional offices down to 5. And now the expectation is that the remaining staff in those 5 regional offices will take on those complaints. That's going to be a heavy workload. I can say in the OCR Dallas office, we already had a heavy workload because we were the largest the office in Dallas, because we handled all of Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, those cases. So now you're expecting all those cases to be farmed out to other regions where they already have their own caseload. So my concern is that, the student that may need additional time to take tests, or the students that are having difficulty accessing a stadium or a football field because there may be ramps and other access points that are not in compliance with regulations, that they're not going to get that relief on time in a manner that's going to allow them to be able to fully access those things so that they can do well on tests, or they can access a stadium and fully participate like other students. So it was just concern after concern that, with what we're seeing by just shoveling this work off to other regional offices that are already short-staffed anyway throughout OCR, that it means that students aren't going to get the help that they need in a timely manner, and that it can cause lasting effects because we're not able to intervene in time.
And I also understand that you are an Education Department union leader. So, what are you hearing from other employees about the level of anxiety that they are feeling, their worries about themselves and the school children, and situations just like you just played out?
So anxiety is right, along with just chaos and just feeling distressed over the fact that we are not able to provide the services that we normally provide, that complainants who are waiting on relief in the Office for Civil Rights are not getting timely responses, not getting timely relief. As a union leader, I have the pleasure of serving everyone who's in the bargaining unit at the Department of Education. So I interacted with other units such as federal student aid. And as we know that this is a crucial time right now for students who are applying for college and for grad school and trade schools to figure out what their next steps are. The concerns I have is that we've cut our staff so severely that their FAFSA applications are not being processed on time, and that students and their parents who are calling in for additional information are dealing with the fact that FAFSA, broke at one point, not this past week, but the week before, or that they're dealing with extremely long wait times. We're talking 5 hours just to get answers to questions. Like, this can impact what students know as far as their financial options on where they want to make their next steps, or it could possibly prevent them from going to achieve higher education at all if they don't get their financial information timely. It can also mean impacts on grants that help put teachers in classrooms, because that was done by another area of our agency where we're putting funding into low income areas to make sure that they can get great teachers to help teach our students. So now the concern is that if we're not administering those grants, where's that money going to come from? And also, too, I just want to emphasize just the overall oversight. We are gravely concerned that because we're not able to do our jobs, that we're not having accountability to where federal dollars are going. We need to make sure that there's oversight to ensure that those dollars are getting to students who have special needs or getting to low income areas, and that money is being used in a manner that complies with federal laws. And the concern is now that we're not there to watch that. What is happening to that money, and how do we make sure that it's actually getting to those students? And I'm gravely concerned that it won't get to where it needs to be, and there's going to be no one there to make sure that it does.
Well, all of what you just said, all of it is so heartbreaking. And Brittany Coleman, we so appreciate you coming on and sharing about your experience, your perspective on this, and your perseverance. I mean, here you no longer have a job with the Department of Education in that Dallas office, and we can still hear, the passion and the commitment that you have with your responsibilities that came with your job and your commitment over some 7 years or so as a civil servant. So appreciate you. Thank you so much for being with us, and all the best.
Thank you.